It's a beautiful day here, and I have some news from Christafari. First of all, we just launched a brand new music video for my favorite song on our Musicianaries at Any Cost album. It's track number 1, features our daughter Ziza singing in the beginning. The concept for this video was going to be all the places we went last year. At the end of the year, we were going to kind of pack them all together and show how God took us to the ends of the earth. He did so virtually, primarily last year. So instead, we focused on the South America tour that we did at the beginning of the year, that we see throughout the video, and then all the other nations and continents. We've been on every continent except for Antarctica so far, glory to God. And it featured all of those put together, and it is just such a praise report. It's a highlight reel of what God has done in the almost, it's 32 years for us, and in this case, almost 100 music videos now. So it encompasses all that. So I want you to check it out. It's called Four Corners, and go to YouTube, watch it now. It is awesome. And then beyond that, we're here writing songs for the next 2 albums, some original Christafari stuff, and a children's album as well. So we're super excited about that. We're also booking shows for our upcoming tours. The first is our Under God tour, and that's going to take us across America to minister in as many of the 50 United States as possible. But that requires invites from you, from your pastor, from any sort of ministry organization, somebody that can be the feet on the ground and help us figure out where we're playing, when we're playing, how we're doing it in a safe way that can. It's not just about safety. It's about being safe and saving souls. That's right. There's certain things you just can't do virtually. And inviting friends to a physical concert and having them come forward and surrender their lives to Christ in a safe, socially distanced way. Well, in the past, we've seen hundreds of thousands do that at Christafari concerts, and now God has called us to these states. And we're going to kick it off where? In Northern California, in Silicon Valley, in essentially the Bay Area. San Jose is got to be one of the darkest places and one of the brightest places to shine a light, the light of God for all to see. And we featured that area, the San Francisco area, the Bay Area, in our Upside Down music video, because we really believe that the world is upside down. Now, what is good, they're calling bad, and what is bad, they're calling good. And one of those things is church. And it's gotten so bad that with all the restrictions and all the guidelines, couldn't meet publicly, then could only do outdoors with limited. And then they had this rule come in that you just couldn't do worship at all. And at that point, one pastor in the Bay Area just stood up and said, you know what? God's law is higher than man's law. I might remind you that 2 people in the Bible spoke about obeying the government. And we need to do that when it's in line with the scriptures. Absolutely. We definitely need to do that. That being said, those 2 people, Paul and Peter, right? Those 2 people, essentially, they died at the hands of the government. And they died at the hands of the government because they put God's law above man's law. And so in this case, I'm not encouraging martyrdom. I'm not encouraging disobedience. But when man says we can't gather, and that's where things are at right now. Pastor Mike McClure from Calvary, I think it's called Calvary San Jose, or Calvary Chapel or Calvary Church San Jose. I'm not sure what they call it, but we call it Calvary Chapel San Jose. They have been told recently from the government that they just can't gather at all, period. And I just never thought that we would come to a time like this. I never thought we would come to a time when it is like communism. Now, some would say, yes, but this is for the safety of people. If you're elderly, don't go. If you are at risk, don't go. Go virtual. But a lot of people are hungry. They are hungry for gathering together. And we've had these lockdowns in California now since March, complete lockdowns. Where I live, there have been no dining in or out for months, no this, no that. You couldn't do anything. No bowling, not that I bowl, no gym, no indoor church. All these different things are so limited. And yet, even with that, the highest numbers ever. And I think when people are dying, I think when people are in serious need of guidance and counseling for eternity, when people are in need of a shepherd, doing so virtually isn't always possible. There are certain things that just don't happen virtually regarding body language, regarding connection, people may watch something, but they tune out or they do something else. But in church, you are in church. And so Pastor Mike McClure said, I'm going to shepherd, and I'm not going to do so virtually alone. And people have flocked to his church, even from other churches, saying, I wish that my church was open, but I'm attending here. He's not trying to take people from other churches or anything, but essentially all these fees, all these fines have piled up to the point of $1.5 million over that they have to pay. And every single time they gather together, they're fined more. They're told they can't do this. Guys, we need to stand up. We need to stand together. We need to pray. Now, some of you may disagree with everything that I'm saying right now. You may say, this is an absolute sin. Well, I think we're going to have to disagree. I believe church is essential. I believe physically gathering is a commandment in the book of Hebrews. I believe that we're supposed to go to the sick and pray for the sick. Jesus laid hands on the lepers. Jesus went where nobody else would go. That which we've done to the least of these, you've done unto me, Jesus said. So I believe the church is essential. And I believe that we need to take a stand. And I believe that there's a lot of wheat from chaff separating going on. There's a lot of sheep from goats separating. There's a lot of this, there's a lot of that. We've received a whole lot of negative comments, people saying, I'm unfollowing you, I'm on this, I'm on that. We have always been unapologetically about Jesus. People are saying, stop being political. I'm not telling you who to vote for. This being said, we sang about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. We sang about Daniel in the lion's den. These people stood up against the government. Joseph, he was in the government. The church needs to be involved one way or another in politics and helping shape the world that we live in. The church is the one facet, the one part of America that the government does not own, control, and is not in charge of. That being said, it looks like right now there's a whole lot of that control where they're trying to reward and control certain churches that are bowing, and on the other side, they're trying to punish churches, fine churches, possibly even imprison pastors for not paying fines, which is something we are praying against. And we believe, the Lord Jesus, hand to heaven, that Pastor Mike will not be put in jail. That's our prayer. Now his mortgage company has, of course, gone topsy-turvy, and they are threatening to take his mortgage, to default his mortgage, and I think there's 15 days left to pay for the mortgage for the church. $1.9 million, that's a lot of money. Or else he could lose the entire church. Not just is he being sued, but his youth pastor is too, for gathering. Do you know how many kids are suicidal right now? I think more kids are dying from suicide and from drug addiction right now than anything else. I do know that in the Bay Area, it's a travesty. About 200 people have died since COVID started. in the Bay Area, in the San Jose area, the county that Pastor Mike is being sued in, out of 2 million people that live there. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But those numbers are lower than the average flu season. And I don't think that we need to stop gathering. We need to stop being the church, being the light. We need to stop shepherding. We need to stop preaching the gospel publicly because of this threat. I do believe that God will guide each person as to whether they should go or not. But if they're called to go and the pastor is called to preach, then it's time to obey. So we called up Pastor Mike. We were so blessed by him taking a stand. Honestly, for me, he's like talking to an Old Testament prophet. I'm just like, he's such a humble guy, such an honest and guy full of integrity, full of wanting to see people get saved. If everybody's dying, which they aren't, but there are some, and I'm so sorry for your loss, but those people need Jesus. Those people need a touch, a prayer. Those people need encouragement. So when I called him, all he wanted to talk about was, when is Christafari going to come up? He's such an awesome guy. He's like, well, how's you? Come on up. Let's do this. So we are going to be ministering on the 7th of February. That's right. We're going to be doing all the morning services at Calvary San Jose. And then at 7 p.m., our concert is going to kick off. We're going to kick off our Under God tour at the church that is literally under fire by our nation and by the government right now. We're going to kick it off, and we're going to try and raise some funds for this church to pay off the mortgage, which is something you can do. In the link below, there's a link to Buck for Good. Now, the link may not work in Instagram, but you can click on it, and it will work in our Facebook feed. So just go ahead and click on that, and we're going to go deep. We're going to partner. We're going to help pay off part of their mortgage. I want to encourage you to do the same. If you believe that we should stand up for freedom of religion, for free speech, for the freedom to gather, if you believe that we shouldn't arrest a bus driver for driving people every day, or arrest a train driver, or arrest a pilot for flying a plane full of people shoulder to shoulder wearing masks, if you believe those people shouldn't be arrested, then you probably believe that a pastor shouldn't be arrested for ministering to people who are wearing masks as well. You probably believe that a pastor, hopefully you believe this, is as crucial as a pilot, getting you from one place to the next, navigating, helping you navigate the world, shepherding. Virtual shepherding is not an easy thing, my friends. Physical. Imagine there's sheep right over there on that hill. We're here in Hawaii right now. There's sheep right over there. Imagine if I try to control them with my phone. Not going to work. No, I got to go there. I got to kind of round them up. Got to do all that work, right? It would be absurd. In the same way, I want to encourage you to pray. If you disagree with this, don't post all kinds of negativity. And I promise I won't go on your page and post negativity. I never would. I never do. If you believe this is wrong, pray. If you believe this is right, pray and put your money where your prayers are and step up, and let's help pay off this church building so that we don't have to worry about anybody taking it away from Calvary San Jose, from Pastor Mike again. God bless you.